Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. Man, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun talking to Bill Laimbeer, and I admitted to him, JD, that I did grow up a Celtics fan. I don't think he'd like that. He said, quote, "That's your problem." That's what he said in the break. It's your problem. But no, it was great having Bill Laimbeer in studio. Fantastic guest. I know he's going to do a great job with the Las Vegas Aces. He did a great job last year in his entire career as a player and a coach. So Vegas, very lucky to have him here, and we thank him for his time. The great Bill Laimbeer. If you missed that interview or any of our interviews, check us out on Twitter at The Vegas Take. All right, so JD, I do have an issue with Donald Trump that I wanted to bring up. I know that probably doesn't come as a shock to you. But
I'm extremely surprised that that's the case. I'm blown away.
Well, tell me what you think about this, okay? Donald Trump did a rally this week saying that the government is unable to violently attack immigrants, and someone in the crowd shouted, "Shoot them." Yeah, let me repeat that. Somebody in his crowd, this is the worst part about it, not just what this moron, racist, hater screamed at his rally wearing his MAGA hat, but as this man said that, Donald Trump looks over and he laughs and he smiles and he responds by saying, "Only in the panhandle can you get away with that statement." He makes a joke out of it. Somebody at his rally is talking about shooting people who are crossing the border illegally, and our president is laughing about it. Do you see that as an issue, as a problem?
He said, what again?
Somebody in the crowd shouted,
"No, I understand.
Shoot them."
No, but what did Trump say exactly?
He first laughs, and the crowd erupts.
He laughs, and he says, only in the panhandle
can you get away with that statement.
Can you say that and get away with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all. Do I have an issue with it? I mean, what he should have said was, "You can't do that," or something along those lines. But yeah, that's a very, very ridiculous reaction to that particular statement under those circumstances, obviously.
And you alluded to this. I think an appropriate reaction to that statement for any decent human being, not Donald Trump, any decent person would be like JD. It'd be like saying, "Sir, that's not appropriate. You know, just because you cross the border illegally, we want to catch you. We want to make sure you come in legally, but nobody should be shooting anybody." That would have been an appropriate statement by the President of the United States. But Donald Trump doesn't choose to do that. It's just another perfect example of demonizing these people.
The appropriate thing to do would be to remove him from the rally. Someone should have removed him from the rally.
And I agree.
That's what probably should have happened.
And all Donald Trump needed to say was, okay, we need that gentleman removed. If he didn't even want to comment on it, I wouldn't have had a problem, even though I think you should. But to laugh about it, and these idiots in the crowd, idiots at these rallies, wearing their MAGA hats. And no, I'm not referencing every single person that wears a MAGA hat is a racist. I would never say such a thing. But certainly a lot of people that were at that rally are racist morons. In Panama City Beach, somebody shouts out, "Shoot them," and people laugh like it's a joke. It's not a joke. And the President of the United States, either he's completely unaware or he's a racist. It's one or the other, folks. There's nothing funny when somebody screams that out. There's nothing funny at a rally when somebody gets physical and the president says, "Go ahead, I'll pay your legal fees." There's nothing funny about that because that's called inciting violence. The number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Does that bother you? That somebody screams out at one of Donald Trump's rallies, "Shoot them," in regards to immigrants crossing the border, and Trump laughs at it and thinks it's funny and makes a joke? There's nothing funny about that. The number to call, 257-5396. Again, the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. What do you think about our president making a joke about somebody screaming out at his rally, "Shoot them," in regards to illegals that cross the border? Do you think that's funny? Is that what you want the president of the United States talking about? Is that what you want the leader of the free world to joke around about killing people that cross the border illegally, shooting them? Again, that number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. And another story that came out today, not good news for the president. Not good news at all. The White House requested former White House counsel Don McGahn publicly state that President Donald Trump didn't obstruct justice. But apparently McGahn declined, according to an administration official. The timing of the White House request, which was made through top White House lawyer Emmett Flood, the official and the separate source familiar with the matter said that McGahn previously told special counsel Robert Mueller's investigators he didn't believe Trump obstructed justice. The Wall Street Journal first reported this story, the appeal to McGahn. If this is true, and if the White House requested that former White House counsel Don McGahn publicly state this, you want to talk about an injustice. That's exactly what this is. So we have two issues here. We have issues again with obstruction, and then we have another instance at a Donald Trump rally where it seems like he is an enabler. He is the enabler in chief, where he is enabling people to shout out and demonize illegals. He is enabling people to threaten violence, or even in this case, shoot illegal immigrants that cross the border. That's exactly what I call that, enabling. It's exactly what this is. And the number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. I spoke about this a little bit earlier in hour number one. I alluded to the fact that we got this dope at UNLV, because that's exactly what he is. That's what we're talking about here. An absolute dope. His name is Riley Grissar. He is the chapter president of the Las Vegas Turning Point USA. His father, the vice president of the Vegas Senior Communities. This video went viral. The nationwide all-right campus organization ousted a member who I just mentioned. This video shows a young man identified as Riley Grissar flashing the OK hand symbol, which has been used as a dog whistle and a racist symbol. Various elements of the alt-right repeatedly saying white power in this video, while hugging a young woman who shouts, "We're going to rule the country," and F the N-word. You guys can fill in the blanks because I don't feel like getting sued by the FCC. Now, when people put out videos like this and doing this, I don't think it's enough when someone says, well, he's ousted from the organization. That's it. We don't want him in the organization. If you're dumb enough and racist enough, JD, to put out a video using the N-word and screaming out white power, what are the types of things you are saying when the camera is off? That's what I'd like to know. What are the types of things that these people are saying when the cameras aren't on? Let me tell you something. I hope this kid gets kicked out of school. I really do. Same thing with this woman. I hope she gets kicked out of UNLV. For, freedom of speech. Yeah, if you're going to scream out the N-word representing an organization and white power, you're going to scream out things like that, I don't think you deserve to be in school. Kick him out as far as I'm concerned. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. How can you not?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's a given.
Yeah.
It's 2019. It's not 1963 or 1952.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I hope that everybody agrees with us.
That doesn't make the upside down okay a racist situation under every single time that you see it.
No, I'm not saying that. I think some people do rush to judgment. I agree with you when it comes to calling people racist or say absolutely, but not in this case. I think we all can agree on that one. Not in this case, but I understand what you're saying. The number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396 if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Brian. Brian, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's up, Brian?
Hey, guys. I'd like to correct a few facts. The guy who was supposedly in that video was not the president of Turning Point.
I didn't say that.
Removed by the leadership of Turning Point. And number two...
Wait, can I just stop you there real quick?
Sure.
He was the chapter president of the Las Vegas Turning Point USA.
No, he's not.
Okay, then...
That's what I'm trying to say. He's not.
Where did you get that from?
From Turning Point. I'm looking at I looked at the video, then I looked at three different stories by three different newspapers and things. What happens, have you guys heard of the terms doxing and swatting?
Yeah.
That to me, that's why I called in. It's very disturbing to me because anybody can say that they're a member of a group and make a hideous video like that, which is actually, I don't believe that they're racist who made that video. I think they're play acting in order to try to discredit Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA is not an alt-right group. They are a conservative group, middle-right conservative group. Alt-right are the supremacists that you talk about, and I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you to condemn them. The people who are part of the alt-right are white supremacists, and they have no business being anywhere near the campuses of our universities.
Okay, so let's just hypothetically, let's just say that you're right, that he wasn't a member, even though Bloomberg and a couple other national organizations that I did some research on say that he was. But let's just say you're right, and he's not a member of this organization. I don't care if it was acting. I don't care if it was role playing. I don't care what it is. The fact of the matter is that his face is in front of this cell phone camera, along with this woman
with a girl
who says the N word. Okay, yeah. And he's talking about white power. I hope he gets kicked out of school.
Oh, I do too. I'm with you there, Brian, 100%. And to me, this is dangerous stuff. When people start using social media to do this sort of thing and misrepresent and attack credible people and try to portray themselves as a part of an organization that is wholly against anything like that. In fact, if you read those articles, you read the statement from Charlie Kirk, the head of Turning Point.
I did, yes.
Condemning them soundly. And the leadership of the UNLV group are the ones that kicked his butt out immediately.
Well, rightfully
so. Finding out his name and stuff, they went and they didn't know who this guy was.
Rightfully so. I mean, they better have done that. I want to ask you something else.
Certainly.
Speaking of on the right, Benny Johnson tweeted out that in talking about being conservative, he says students are victims of hate, abuse, chemical attacks, theft, racial slurs, violence, vehicular assault, targeting, and death threats. But the problem I have, and look, that does happen, but the problem I have with a guy like Benny Johnson is because he never tweets out about minorities. He never tweets out about, what about people on the left? It doesn't matter what your political view is. There are people that are the victims of hate crimes, whether you're on the right or the left. I don't like it when a person goes on social media or any platform and just talks about how one political group is getting attacked, okay? People get attacked every day for their political views, whether you're on the left or the right.
True. I agree with you there, Brian.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, we need to call that out. Let me ask you one other thing because this is really important to me. Okay.
Can we talk about one thing after that too, real quick?
Yeah, that's fine, Brian.
Okay.
I talked a little bit about this Trump rally, right? See, these are the type of reasons why I go after Donald Trump. Okay, and I'm not talking about the great economy or low unemployment numbers. These are the specific issues where I have a huge problem with Donald Trump. Okay, crowd erupts when Donald Trump is talking about illegal immigration.
Okay, let me ask you this: based on what happened under these circumstances, who was worse for racial relations, Barack Obama or Donald Trump at this point?
Who is worse for racial relations?
Racial relations. Barack Obama is arguably the worst president for racial relations in the history of the United States. So who is worse, Donald Trump or Barack Obama at this point?
That's a tough question for me to answer. I don't know. I don't think Obama was great for racial relations either. I don't think Donald Trump is good with racial relations. I think they both suck. Put it to you that way. They both suck. But getting back to this thing, so they have this rally, okay, in Panama City Beach, Brian, and he's talking about illegal immigrants.
I watched the video. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And somebody screams up and says, shoot. Then that guy is what I would call a deplorable, okay, not to quote Hillary Clinton. He's not kicked out of the rally. Everybody jumps up and erupts in laughter and cheers like the guy said something great. And instead of Trump showing leadership, which clearly he doesn't have in these types of situations, he actually says only in the panhandle can you get away with that statement. And he jokes about it instead of saying, get that guy out of here or that's inappropriate. Don't you have a problem with our president treating these situations like a joke? There's nothing funny about what that guy said.
There's not, and I would have kicked his butt out immediately. Mm-hmm. The thing about it is, I watched the video. The only people that could hear him actually say that would have to have been right up front where he was at. Because on the video, I watched two different versions of the video, and I could not hear what he said.
And that might be
It was
true.
not clear at all what he said, but then I read some report by people who were around him said that's what he said.
Yes.
And it looks to me on the video like Trump heard that, and he's trying to deflect and move on.
Right.
He made a joke out of it.
Right.
I would not have made a joke out of it.
Right.
I would have said, let's get this guy out of here.
Yeah. And you said the key thing.
And I would have stopped and I would have waited until they did.
And I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think we all like-minded individuals, whether you're on the right or the left, should have the same reaction that you have and that I have. But you said the key word there. Even if everyone in the crowd didn't hear it, the bottom line is we all could agree the president definitely heard it. And it's the way he reacted that shows a lack of leadership. Brian, it's good to hear from you, my man. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the Colorado shooting real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
Some things that are very disturbing about that is I studied that a little bit today. The two shooters. Are you aware of who those two are?
I don't. I wanted to talk about that in the next segment. We can start talking about it now. Yeah, go ahead.
One is a transgender, a female who is representing herself as a male. And then the other guy is just a real weird kid, man. He looked. You've seen the pictures of the Aurora theater shooting with that guy with the orange hair.
Well, obviously, if you're going to kill innocent people, you're going to be mentally
you're
deranged.
Crazy. And this guy's got purple and black hair as he's sitting at the courtroom table when he was arraigned.
Yeah.
And basically, the first news report I heard about it was that they did this because they were bullied. But I read a report today by two gay students of that school who said, no, they were not bullied. They are the bullies, those two people. Yeah. In fact, the one kid with the purple hair and the black hair, one of his favorite things to do is to go up to younger students there, whisper in their ear, you better not come to school tomorrow because you might not make it home.
And that would not surprise me. I will say this, though, Brian. I don't care what their gender is. I don't care if it was a transgender.
I don't either.
Here's what you brought it up. I mean, that's...
I'm just saying that this encompasses all of our society. It's not...
Well, it does.
We hear a lot about the right-wing supposedly idiots that did it in New Zealand and places like that, but there's some...
Look, there's crazy people. There's crazy people on both sides. I don't care if you're a man or a woman.
Everything is predicated on attention. Just like why this guy who whispers in people's ear, you may not come home from school tomorrow. Why is his hair black and purple? Because the guy wants attention. Yep. And social media is the fuel for all these younger people trying to crave for this attention.
Yeah, and let me just say this about bullying, okay? Not everybody that gets bullied when they were a kid decides to kill innocent people. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I defending bullying, and I think teachers and administrators need to find out who these little bastards are that are bullying people and throw them out of school, as far as I'm concerned. But
and other kids need to stand up for even if they're not their friends. If they see this happening, I would be standing up for these kids that are getting bullied, and then I'd go report.
See, that doesn't even sound like bullying to me. That sounds like next level tasing / threat. I mean, doing that should put you behind bars. I don't care what age you are.
But look, this is one part of the conversation that I want to talk about. The other parts of the conversation, were these kids mentally ill? Were there warning signs? How did they get their hands on weapons? And we are learning. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, I haven't done a lot of studying on the shooting, but from what I've read about this shooting is that they took the guns from their parents who legally bought the weapons, correct?
They smashed their locked gun cabinet to smithereens and got the guns. And while no one was home, of course, and then they wrote terrible things on the side of their parents' car with spray paint, 666 and some other stuff.
Yeah. What kind of weapons were they? Do you recall?
Handguns.
They were okay.
They actually took 3 handguns and a rifle from the gun case, but they only took in they each had a pistol, a handgun.
And the sad part about this is
this was Highland Ranch, right? So it's a well-to-do part of town,
right? And the sad part, these kids...
I didn't know this either, that it's grade school all the way up to the end of high school.
Yeah, and these kids...
All-encompassing school.
The sad part about it is we have another hero, right? The young kid who's a hero, another hero...
Kendrick Castillo.
Yes, who lost his life. It's so horrible. And by the way, it's not just about the victims. Let's remember, these families of these two shooters, these two kids, these two animals... That's what I'm going to call them, will probably never see the light of day again. And if they do, they're going to be much, much, much older. Okay, so their lives are pretty much over as well. Don't feel sorry for them at all. These kids, and keep in mind, when we talk about the last school shooting, the last mass school shooting, there have been a couple students from that school who have committed suicide, who had guilt that they made it out alive. And there's no guarantees that won't happen again here. These kids will be mentally affected by this the rest of their lives, everybody involved.
Both Brians, do you support the death penalty for both of these kids?
I'll let him answer that one first. Go ahead, Brian.
Yes.
My answer is absolutely 100% yes. I don't want these scumbags. I don't want them to be eating 3 meals a day on our tax dollars.
And you have to set precedent for something like this.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem.
When our young, I have a daughter, she's 16 months old, but when the future of our country is literally afraid to go to school and they have to do lockdown drills, are you kidding me? Anyone who is doing something like this needs to be made the utmost example of.
Here's why I don't understand our justice system. I call it the injustice system. You know, we hear this defense, right? You can kill 100 people, right? Or how about the Boston bomber, for example? Okay, well, mentally ill, or we talk about the shooter at the Aurora movie theater, right? Mentally ill. That's why he's not getting the death penalty. Plea deal, so he spends the rest of his life in prison. Find me one person that goes in anywhere and kills a number of people and is not mentally ill. That's not a defense.
I would also like to know what types of medications were these kids on. Were they on Xanax? Were they on Adderall? Because if I'm guessing that there's probably a parallel between a lot of these shooters and lots of medications that they're on.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, Brian,
Right, Brian.
Brian, good to hear from you. I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.
You didn't call in for a couple of weeks. I don't know where you were.
Take a little sabbatical.
All right,
That's
fair enough.
He's allowed to go on vacation.
Yep. See you, Brian.
Thanks for calling, Brian. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. It seems like, JD, we're talking about these tragedies every week. It might not be in this country.
And sometimes twice a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting to a point now where, yes, I think the mentally ill, there has to be a better system in this country. There has to be. And number two, gun responsibility. These parents, even if it was in a case that they had to break, you have to put guns in an area where your kids do not know where they are. That has to happen. These kids knew where these guns were, just like with the Connecticut shooting. Okay? That kid was mentally ill, worse than even this situation where the mother taught her child, who, by the way, didn't even know how to speak socially. He was so effed up in the head. She taught him how to use a weapon, JD. Do you remember this?
I wonder if she did that because she wanted to kind of be a father figure that he didn't have.
That's not the right way to do it. There's other ways to do it.
I'm not suggesting that it is, but I'm guessing that's probably part of the equation.
Yeah, but there's other right. We all could agree there's other ways to do it rather than teaching your mentally ill son how to shoot a gun, right? Gun responsibility. And then we can get to the subject of these assault rifles, the AR-15. I'm glad that bump stocks are gone, but you could use a rubber band and it works the same way as a bump stock. So, I mean,
just keep that to yourself.
Well, I mean that's just the truth. I'm not a gun guy. I don't like guns. But you're damn right. If I lived in a neighborhood that was extremely, luckily I don't. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. If the radio show doesn't work out, maybe I'll be forced to live in a rough part of town. I don't know. Actually, when I first moved to Las Vegas, JD, I didn't know anything about Las Vegas. Nothing. I was trying to find a cheap one-bedroom apartment. I see they're selling cheap one-bedrooms for $550. I said to myself, oh, my God, this is unbelievable. I moved here from Connecticut 20 years ago. Yeah, it was on the Boulder Highway. At the time, it was behind a really, really dumpy casino that was called Nevada Palace. It's not
Nevada Palace.
Yeah, it's where the Cannery is now, and it's a much nicer casino.
I bet they had a great buffet.
Yeah. Well, I lived there for 6 months. They didn't, by the way. It was disgusting. I lived there for 6 months.
And you played a lot of counter hooker.
No, well, I did that too.
Yeah, okay.
I did that too. That was where we counted how many hookers were on the Boulder Highway from one part to the other. But that's not the story I was going to say. I said they found a guy cut up into pieces in a duffel bag, basically almost on my front lawn. They taped it all off, and I said to myself, you know what? This might be a good time to leave this neighborhood. This might be a good time. I'm not. I S you not. Okay?
That sounds like an MS-13 drug deal gone very, very bad.
It is. It's a really bad area, and it still is. But I didn't know Las Vegas at the time. I didn't know anybody that lived here, so I didn't know any better. But you know what? If I had known then what I knew now, and I had no other choice but to live there, you're damn right I would have bought a gun to protect myself. Very dangerous part of town to live in. Even if you ignore people and you go about your business, I wouldn't want to live there again. I wouldn't want to. But if I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is if I had to, I would have bought a gun, even though I'm not a gun person. Yeah, I've been in situations in my life. I was robbed at night with a knife I was robbed when I was, I think I was 20 years old. Yeah, I was 20 years old. And guy robbed me. He had a knife.
No, wasn't here.
No. I was 20. This was. I've been here almost 20 years, so this is like a couple months before I moved out to Vegas. I believe somebody followed me home from a casino, and I was gambling at 20 illegally, so I probably deserved to be robbed anyway, but that's another story. But anyway, I had a really good night. I had a good amount of money in my pocket, and somebody went up to me as I got out of my car at a gas station and said, "Give me your wallet." Had the knife up here. I don't know kung fu. I don't know how to defend myself with when a guy has a knife. So what do? I immediately say, "Don't hurt me. I got you. Take the wallet. Please don't hurt me." I threw the wallet at him. He ran away, and my heart was going a million miles an hour. Obviously, I called the police. They came by. They never did anything with the surveillance, as far as I know. They never caught the guy, and that was the end of it. But that was a situation. Forget about the money. I think I had like $800 in my wallet or something, which was a lot of money for me at that time. It still is now, by the way. But the reason why I bring that story up is I would have shot that guy, and I wouldn't have felt bad about it. I would have shot him dead, and I would not have felt bad about it for 1 second.
Yeah, rightfully so.
I wouldn't have felt bad about
100%.
it. Yeah. I gave a story, was it? I think it was earlier this week, where, if I had a gun on me, I would have shot a guy who came at me with a baseball bat in Vegas. I would have shot him, and I wouldn't have felt bad about it. I'm not one of those people. Look, if you come at somebody and try to assault somebody and rob somebody, if somebody shoots you, I don't care if you're 16 years old or 56 years old. If somebody shoots you dead, you deserve it as far as I'm concerned. 16 years old is old enough to know you don't go after somebody and try to rob somebody on the street. It's one thing if you see somebody that's shoplifting or something. I'm not saying everybody deserves to be shot. But you will go after somebody with a knife or a bat and somebody shoots you, goodbye. Don't want you in society. That's fine. That's how I feel about that stuff. So, no, I'm not one of those nutty people way on the left that says guns are horrible. And, I'm not necessarily talking about less guns or taking, your Second Amendment away. What I am talking about is we're talking about the AR-15, AK-47, stuff like that. I don't believe those guns should be sold to the public. I've always felt that way. I always will feel that way. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion on the other side of the break, talk a little bit about Don McGahn, and take your phone calls. The number to call if you want to be a part of the show, 257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 702-257-5396. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.